Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Spannerman again here with another video. Hope you enjoyed the video today. Please subscribe to the channel. Any comments, thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Spannerman again here with another video. Today we're going to talk about keeping your teeth at the same length. So a lot of times you'll see videos out there and they'll be talking about sharpening chainsaw chain, and they'll be talking about find your worst tooth, mark it, and file or grind them all the same length. Now, while this actually sounds okay in theory, the practice becomes that, let's say that you're out there and you damaged your chain because as you cut through you hit some rock and it damaged, say, half a dozen teeth, and the damage varied from 0.5 millimetre to up to 2 millimetre. So if we were to believe what some people publish and what people advise you to do, they'll say find your worst tooth, mark it, and make them all the same length. So let's say that our worst damage is 2 millimetres and we've got a 20-inch chain, and that's 36 teeth. So 2 millimetres multiplied by 36 teeth adds up to 72 millimetres of teeth that you've got to file. You're going to be there for quite a while. And you even get people out there that will get a digital vernier caliper and they'll measure. Now, I've got 2 teeth here. One tooth here is just on 5 mil. Now, we'll just measure that again. 519, and the other one is nearly 6, 598. Okay, so we're getting near a millimetre out. Is that chain going to cut crooked? Answer to that is yes and no. Okay, so I'll tell you how I do my chains, and they don't cut crooked. While I fully support that in an engineering principle that if everything is the same and kept equal, then all the teeth will cut the same. I agree with that in principle. But in a practical situation, as I've just mentioned, that we've damaged the chain and up to 2 millimetres of damage, I'm not going to file 72 millimetres of tooth just to turn around and say that I've got them all the same length. What a lot of people misunderstand is that the depth gauge or raker gauge is a limiter. It limits the amount of timber that the tooth can cut. So in any woodworking environment, whether you've got a saw that has a table or that has a planer, you can have a machine that planes timber and you can set the height. The most important thing when we're talking about depth gauge is the relationship between the raker and the top of the tooth. So this sets how much the tooth will bite into the timber. If we check each individual tooth and set them correctly, irrespective if one tooth is 1 millimetre or 2 millimetres longer, so if you've got a half a dozen teeth that are a little bit all over the place and you set them correctly with the depth gauge, it'll cut straight. I'm not going to file 72 millimetres of tooth away and shorten the life just because a few teeth got damaged. Now, a lot of you people out there may be using this type of depth gauge here, made by Stihl. It's okay, but it's not the best type of depth gauge that you can use. This type of depth gauge was invented by Oregon back in the 50s and was patented. So, yeah, by Joe Cox. Another man by the name of Ray Carlton come along in the early 60s and invented the progressive depth gauge, which looked very similar to the Stihl one. It's a slanted gauge, so it sits on top of the tooth, and the little fork down the end sits on top of the tie bars, and the depth gauge protrudes either out or stays level, depends, whether it needs filing or not. So in this situation, remember we measured these teeth and there was approximately about 1 millimetre between the two. So if we put the depth gauge on there, then we put it on here, that's fine. So I'll just show you. Put it on here, run the file over, not a problem. Put it on here, run the file over, not a problem. So this tooth and this tooth, this is about 1 millimetre longer than this one, but the depth is set the same, which means that they should cut roughly the same amount of timber. They'll bite. Their bite into the timber will be the same. Therefore, it will not cut crooked. So for all those people out there that are using their digital vernier gauge and measuring each tooth and filing the same, you're overdoing it. Look, I would file them identical if the teeth would last for a very, very long time. If there was a really huge benefit of doing that, I'd be doing it. I think it's because they turn around and say that everything should be equal. And as I said, I agree in principle, but the reality and practicality of doing that is, to me, I can't see the benefit of doing that when the outcome, there's no benefit in doing it. The outcome is not going to really make much difference at all. So just to recap, you can have different length teeth. It will cut straight provided you check the gauges, the depth gauges. If you check these depth gauges and set them the correct depth, then the tooth is limited by its depth gauge and your saw will cut straight. It won't cut crooked. Look, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Bye for now.